So that's me. I'm Paul Robinson. I'm the MD. Some of you might know me already. So I'm the MD of MoneyWeb Limited. And today we're going to be talking about all things auto-enrolment or workplace pensions. It's going to last probably about an hour. So we're hoping to finish for about 10 o'clock, just after 10 o'clock, and then we'll finish with the Q&As. So I'm going to kick off, talk a little bit about the business and talk a little bit about our view on the workplace pensions arena. And then Mike, where's Mike? Mike's over there. Mike's from Penfolds, so he's going to talk a little bit about the proposition that Penfolds have and one of the reasons, or the lots of reasons why we've teamed up with them. And then a business development manager at MoneyWeb, Chris, who stood up at the back. He's going to talk a little bit about salary sacrifice and group benefits. So that's the agenda, so we won't mess about, we'll just go straight into it.
Employers, say goodbye to ongoing fees charged by other workplace pension providers. With Penfold, there are no ongoing employer fees. You'll have direct access to a dedicated account manager, making it easy and straightforward to access help when you need it, and offers simple and easy payroll integration. Penfold's award-winning app offers a highly competitive and transparent charging structure. Even better, when employers sign up via MoneyWeb, the fees are reduced even further. Employers, please contact MoneyWeb today to switch to a new auto-enrolment scheme where your employees can assess the benefits of tech-enabled pension planning or register to come along to our seminar.
So that was Matt's acting debut. So he's available for hire if you want him at a reasonable rate. It hasn't quite gone viral yet, but it's had quite a few views and quite a few hits. It was really to capture everybody's interest about auto-enrolment and workplace pensions. So let's talk a little bit about MoneyWeb and who we are and what we do. So we're 25 years old next year, so we've been around quite a while. We were originally owned by two firms of solicitors and a firm of accountants. And then in 2008, I bought 50% of the business, and then in 2013, I bought the other 50%. So it's solely owned by myself. We have a great team behind us. So we've got 6 independent financial advisors, some of which are here now. And we've got a team around the back of them to support them with compliance and administration and paraplanning support. So the business has grown certainly over the last 5 years, the business has grown probably about 20% year on year. And at the moment we're looking after around about £300 million worth of clients' money. It's a big responsibility to look after that level of capital, and we do pride ourselves on giving clients exceptional service, and that's what we're all about. That's what drives the private client side of things of the business, and it certainly drives the auto-enrolment and the workplace pension proposition that we have as well. In terms of where we are, we're at East Ayton, that's head office, and we've got some offices in York as well. That's following Chris's appointment to the business back in September. So we've got 2 offices that we work from at the moment. We're going through a bit of an acquisition with another company as we speak, so that we're swelling numbers as we move forward. We tend to work from word of mouth, so we get our introductions from professional connections, accountancy practice, some of you are here now today, solicitors, again, some of you are here now today. But mostly from our existing clients. That's why we generate our trajectory in terms of growing the business, and it works pretty well. I'm just going to talk a little bit now about the workplace pensions and what the roadmap's been like for that over the last few years. So workplace pensions or auto-enrolment came into place just over 10 years ago, and at the time it was sort of a government initiative that employers sort of shook their heads and blew a lot of wind out and said, oh, here we go again, we've got to do something extra that's going to cost us. And I think because of that, there was very, very low engagement with employers and consequently very, very low engagement with employees. So the figures up there in terms of the opt-in rates, that's people who have joined the scheme when they've got a scheme to join, was only 32%. And if you roll the clock forward 10 years on from where we are now, the opt-in rate has actually come the other way. So it's just over 70% now in terms of a scheme that's there and who's going to join it. Well, there's only 30% people on average that aren't joining it. So to me, that looks like the employers are taking it a little bit more seriously, And maybe the employees are saying, actually, let's have a look at what we've got in terms of our pensions, and we need to be on that because, in effect, it's free money for us because the employer is going to pay into it as well. So I think that's a good analogy of what's happened in the market, and the market is now big. In terms of in the auto-enrolment space, there's nearly £400 billion worth of assets that are circling around in people's pension pots, and the market is even bigger in defined contributions. There's £1 trillion worth of money kicking around there. So it's a market that is big and is growing, and it's a market that us as a company want to be involved in. Really important that we're involved in it. Our ethos as a business is to challenge, support and educate, and I think those three mandates work really well in the auto-enrolment sphere in terms of challenging providers, supporting employers and educating employees, and that's the process that we go through when we're engaging with an employer in terms of analysing and looking at their pension scheme, their auto-enrolment scheme. So this is what we do for our private clients. So there's 6 different areas that we think is important when we're talking to private clients. So there's things such as, if they're coming to us, what's their fund performance like, what's their investment risk like, what's the charging structure like. So when we're analysing people's private arrangements away from the workplace, those are the criteria that we look at when we're analysing schemes and pensions. And the question to us is, why should it be different for an auto-enrolment scheme? It shouldn't be. It should be exactly the same. And in recent years, it hasn't been. You know, employers have gone and got an off-the-shelf scheme, or maybe they've not really thought about what they've got, and they put it in place, and the employer, they've ticked the box, that's all they've done. They've not given any thought about how that's going to benefit the employee moving forward. And I think in today's current climate, where the recruitment and more importantly the retention of staff is really, really hard, to have a really A1 rated auto-enrolment scheme is really important, along with all the other benefits that Chris is going to cover off a little bit later. So I think that's where we are at the moment in terms of the approach. Now, is this working yet? We're on. We're okay. Okay. So those of you who have done it, you'll have clicked that QR code. It was working first thing this morning, and then we had a bit of a glitch from the tech company. So it wasn't working for a bit, but it's back on now. So if you haven't scanned the QR code, do it now, and you can rate your own pension scheme. Now, how we've done that, obviously we're independent advisors and we don't have any bias to any one company whatsoever, but it's important to us that companies come out with a good outcome. So we need to make sure that we're analysing the pension schemes across a broad range of different criteria. And because of that, these are the options that we look at when we're looking at the schemes. So there's 9 different options up there. There's actually 2 squashed into one. So the second one down also has sustainable in it. So we've got 10 criteria that we look at when we're researching auto-enrolment schemes. And we rate them in terms of gradings from all the providers that we've got. So just of a show of hands here, was there anybody that's looked at this and their provider wasn't on it? No, good. So I think there's about sort of 20, which is the main players in the auto-enrolment sphere. And these categories here are all rated out of 5. So we grade them, we analyse them, and we give them a score for each of one of those categories. And that gives them a score out of 50, which then we rate them. So when you put when you've done your QR code in here and you've got your score back, it should say what you've scored out of 5 in terms of stars, and then it also should say what your pension is good at and what your pension is not so good at. So it actually gives you a bit of feedback on it. Any of that you've got in there that you've already done, obviously you can pick up at the end with some Q&As, or you can pick up privately after this seminar. So I would probably have guessed that Nest is probably the most common scheme out there at this moment in time. If I just have a bit of a show of hands, who's got Nest? Yeah, okay, quite a few of you. Okay, so we've picked on Nest because we thought you guys would have mostly Nest. So I'm just going to show you the ratings for that as a bit of an analogy. So we look at performance of the default fund, which is really important because that's what drives returns for your employees. So Those figures are the annualised last 3 years' performance. So you can see Penfold at 4.38% a year and Nest 3.5%. So not a huge amount of difference, but Penfold gets a bit more of a tick in the box because it's a little bit higher. Then we look at number of fund options. So we've got 10 versus 6. So you can see that Penfold have got a few more funds, and I think, speak to the guys today, there's more fund options coming on to Penfold. I think they're in talks with a number of companies in terms of additional funds that are going onto the platform. At the moment, the two main companies that are on the platform are BlackRock, which is the biggest fund house in the world, and HSBC. So those are the two fund options you've got on there, and obviously different sustainable elements with it as well. So we've got 10 V6. Then we look, has they got an app? Is there an app available for the members? So is there a member app? What can you do with that member app? So there isn't for Nest, there is for Penfold, so that encourages engagement with your staff in terms of looking at your pension fund and talking about it within the workplace environment. Does it offer payroll integration? Well, Nest does. So it seamlessly operates payroll integration, as does Penfold. Is there a retirement income forecasting tool? So that's on the app in pensions in Penfold. So basically, you can make changes to your forecasting parameters. So you can say, what happens if I put an extra £100 a month into my pension scheme? What will that give me at 60? And actually, what if I retire at 65? What's that going to look like? So that's all contained within the app. So it's a tool that's really important for the employees to work with. Is there an education program? Well, that's twofold for us really, because if we talk to a company, we're going to educate it, because part of our remit is to offer 20-minute free consultation with every employee that we go into. So that's the first educational bit. And the second educational bit for bigger companies is that we offer and Penfold offer remote sessions in terms of pension education. So, you know, there's a lot of people out there that don't know what a pension does, don't know how it works, so we start at the basics and we build that up over a 6-series process. So there's some educational programs in there. It's not compulsory, you don't have to have it, but it's there if you want it for you and for your staff as well. The next one is rating agencies. So De facto, which is an industry recognised rating agency, so that rates a provider on various different aspects, and Nest score 5 on that, Penfold score 4, still quite high, but Nest beats us on that, or beats Penfold on that. Then we've got a Trustpilot rating. You'll all be fairly understand what a Trustpilot rating is. So we're slightly higher, or Penfold is slightly higher than Nest and others on the Trustpilot rating. And the last bit, this is our bit. So this is how easy is it to deal for you as an employer? How easy is it for you to deal with your pension scheme? So we're in a huge amount of problems with a company called Options at the moment. I don't know if anybody's with them in this room, but at the moment you pick up the phone to try and speak to Options, whether it's us as the IFA or whether it's the employer, and wanting to ask questions and try and get details and data from them. Literally you're on hold for 40 minutes and then the phone disappears. So you ring back and you're on hold for another 40 minutes and then they cut you off again. So we can't have that. You know, your time is really precious. You need to be having answers to questions immediately, or certainly within a very quick space of time. So that is really important for us. So with Penfold, you've got a dedicated support person that helps you on board and also runs payroll in terms of over the first few payroll runs, so you've got access to that whenever you want. Nest, you don't have that, and you are on the phone quite a long time for Nest. So that sort of makes the analogy. So scored out of 50. I'm not quite sure when it all comes to fruition what Nest score at, but Penfold score at 48. So it's out of the schemes that we've looked at, it is the best scheme out there covering all that criteria. So we're really, really keen to work with these guys, which is why we've brought them up from London today to talk to you about the mechanics of the pension scheme.